So in this video, I'm going to be telling you the truth about selling on Amazon FBA and answer questions like, can you make money on Amazon for real? Are all gurus charlatans? Are all courses scams? Is insert year or whatever year a good year to start? And will you be able to turn that $500?
Long story short, we just thought...
Now, of course, I would say that Amazon FBA is a solid way of making money. I mean, I have a course and I sell a buy list, so I have a vested interest to tell you it is. However, the fact that I'm selling these things, it doesn't mean that the fact that Amazon FBA enables people with, well, basically with very little capital to actually start an e-commerce business, it doesn't detract from that, core truth. What I do think, and I think that's more to the point, is that most people make the mistake of thinking that Amazon FBA somehow equates to a business model. It isn't. It really just isn't. The only thing FBA does is that it enables a business model. In itself, it's just a logistical model, logistics. Because again, before, in the old days, you had to have your own personnel, if you had it big, but even in the most small conceivable business, you would have to bring the package to whatever post office or schedule shipments, handle returns, and Amazon FBA takes that away from you, that hassle basically. So, and I don't think that that it's just because people don't understand it or misconstrue it in some way, makes Amazon FBA itself a scam. I would even take it a bit further and say that anyone who is pumping money into anything he or she does not fully understand have only themselves to blame. And really, you need to take responsibility for those actions and just look in the mirror. Because to me, saying Amazon FBA is not a valid model is saying just because the first job you ever had, sucked, that somehow the 9-to-5 model doesn't work. It clearly works. Our entire society is based on the fact that most people go for that bit of security and work for a boss. Right? And it works. And just because you had a bad experience doesn't mean the model doesn't work. Now, connected to this, there's this growing claim or idea that if Amazon FBA is not like a scam or whatever, then surely courses must be. Now, before I'm going to, basically take on this statement or this claim, I will extend this olive branch, right? Because I truly, I understand that there are courses out there which, they don't claim to teach you anything or transfer any type of knowledge. Every message they have or send out is about you claiming you will reach some result. And now, even though that's you can argue that's not tasteful or not honest or whatever. I mean, and I kind of agree, but at the other hand, if you take for instance a beer commercial, right? Now, the average beer commercial shows some successful guy driving a nice car to a big apartment somewhere in New York downtown, nice girlfriend, nice social life. He takes out the beer out of a nice refrigerator and whatever. This perfect ideal image. They don't show you a guy that just lost his job, goes home, feeds his cat, has some microwave dinner on his lap, and drinks some canned beer, on his own. And the only light you see is the light from the television program he happens to be watching, right? Because the first one, it sells a lifestyle, an idea that people really want, and the other one is, it may be more real, but it doesn't sell the beer. And in that way, I kind of understand why people who sell courses, rent that Ferrari, go to this Airbnb, house or villa or whatever you want, and basically pretend to have some insane lifestyle. The fact that I have this boring home office as a background, may be stupid on my part, but this is just the place where I work. I don't have a Ferrari or a helicopter there in the background, right? So I personally don't care for it, right? But I understand that from a pure marketing or a commercial perspective, even if I rent a bloody Ferrari, it sells the course better, or the leads, or whatever, right? So again, I understand that you can see this as something that is bad taste or disingenuous, but claiming that it's the fact that you don't get the result, this marketing message, because that's basically what it is, that this marketing message doesn't bring you the result that you wanted, and that you say that the course itself is a scam. To me, it goes a bit too far, because you have only yourself to blame, right? I mean, if you go to some guy's landing page and you see a guy claiming he's a 10-figure seller, some great video testimonial, nice production, with like students telling how awesome it all is. Some maybe even have like this little text saying, "Oh, look how much money you lost by just doubting the fact that you should join or not." And the fact that they don't have any information on what you will learn, and you still do it. I'm going to be honest to you. That's on you. You whatever fell for it, or however you want to to frame it. But I really truly believe that people need to take responsibility for the fact that they make that choice. I mean, if you sign up for $1,000 course, and it with the idea, and that's the most important part, that with the idea that a course will teach you to become successful, whatever that is, to me, you're just deluding yourself. I mean, and to be honest, I sympathize, but I don't, not to the point where I say, okay, it's the fault of the guy selling you the course, right? And again, I'm selling courses, so maybe I'm biased in some way, but I do think I tend to be honest about these things. And to me, blaming people who sell courses for your own, ill-judged decision is strange to me on many levels. I mean, just consider this. I mean, on average, right? The average person spends $3 or $4 on their daily cup of coffee. Now, depending how you calculate actual working days, this still means, let's say, $1,100 a year. That's $1,100 a year on something you don't need. And to be honest, aside from like this quick pick me up at the beginning of the day, or maybe the end of the day, or maybe like the little addiction thing you have going on with coffee, it doesn't bring you anything. It's useless, and yet nobody's complaining at Starbucks about the loss of their money, right? So, and to me, honestly, I would rather spend that $1,000 or that $1,100 on the most horrible course you can ever imagine, with like the least amount of knowledge transferred to me, because even that, at its lowest, at its most basic, even a course like that is better than spending it on coffee, right? To me, that's my position on it. And again, I find it strange that nobody's, having like a picket line at Starbucks about, what the return on investment is for that cup of coffee. Yet when people make this strange decision to go for a course which basically tells them they will teach them to be successful, they all get upset. Again, to me, that's strange. Now, my final point regarding this, and it's really quite simple and really, it's quite to the point. Do you really believe, do you really believe that investing $500, $5,000, okay, let's go to an extreme here, $50,000, right? 50,000. Do you really believe that starting with that money, that you will become a millionaire by the end of the year? All right, you go from, okay, let's take the 50,000. Even if you double it every month, you just might, with all the luck and all the expertise and all the knowledge in the world, you might become a millionaire with 50,000. But even honestly, the chances are low. So to me, it's also about managing your own expectations. Right? I mean, if you really think that investing, let's say, $1,000 for a course, $500 in inventory, and that you will become, that you are disappointed that you're not a millionaire in 3 months from now, to me, it's madness. Honestly, it is. I mean, do you really expect that? Right. So, again, to conclude, if you see enrolling in courses the way I do, right? So, which is that you get like a condensed knowledge in like a digestible format, to basically get like a start in it, to lay a foundation on which you can build something in the direction the course is. So in the case of Amazon, for instance, we teach you how to find products, how to analyze them, basically how to run your business, like how to treat customers, how to make like seller support do what you want, in the most effective way. We provide email templates. What we don't provide is like, again, these 10-step programs, they don't work because there is no formula for it. The only thing I can stand behind and I can say with 100% certainty is that the course, at least the course that I provide, is it will teach you how to do it. That's it. I can't teach you how to be successful, because even my idea of success may even be different than yours, right? I mean, for me, it's just the freedom. I don't need to be a millionaire. I don't even care about it. But if you are a guy that wants to be a millionaire before whatever age, then your definition of success automatically, is different than that of mine. So it's a nonsense selling point, actually. However, at best, a course for you then can be a disappointment. But it can never really be a scam, right? Now, on the other hand, if you believe that courses should be about reaching a specific result or a goal, or basically that, which in case of selling on Amazon is most likely that you want to be a millionaire by the end of whatever period or whatever 10-step program, then I would argue that you should view all forms of education as a scam. I mean, learning how to read and write, humbug. Why haven't you written a best-selling novel or a big screenplay like Dances with Wolves or whatever, Because that's the result, right? You don't just want to learn how to read or write, you really want to write a novel. But to me, it's like learning how to read or write is about learning the letters, the alphabet, whatever, right? And then later on you can decide whether or not you're going to read Tolstoy or a comic book or the subtitles of a Netflix show. Whatever you do with the knowledge, that's on to you. But there's no way on earth you can, you should be angry or feel anger towards your elementary school teacher who taught you how to read and say, hey, why am I not a best-selling novelist, right? So to me, that's really the distinction. And I think people should just take responsibility for their own actions. So the truth, however confronting it may be, is that there is no easy way to get rich, and selling on Amazon is no exception. So there is a possibility that you can build a business by selling on Amazon, and I think especially for beginners, that arbitrage is the way to go, the way to start. And that's simply because private label requires, first of all, it requires capital, at least 10K. It requires knowledge, not only about the Amazon system, but also about the market in which you intend to sell. And again, I don't think that many people who get started understand this fully. And the fact that you need some serious, really serious digital marketing skills. And again, most new people don't have this. They don't have the capital, don't have the knowledge, don't have the experience, right? So, and again, it's what I told people, and I've told people many times before, is that private label is not about the product, right? And most courses, they teach you how to launch a product on an Amazon platform. They teach you how to how to optimize a listing, maybe how to run a PPC campaign if you're lucky, but they don't teach you about digital marketing. They don't teach you about truly about how to build a brand, because that's what it is. Now, again, and personally, if I look at PPC and optimizing a listing, I don't think they are like separate skills. I know a lot of people sell them like they are, but I've been doing arbitrage for 3 years now, I think, and I've learned to read a listing, if you get what I mean, right? Because I know that certain items will or will not sell based on certain types of formatting of letters, of sequence, of whatever. You have this instinctive, that's something you can build up. It's knowledge you build up over time. I've seen so many listings that I can just see a listing and say, okay, this, without going into specifics of this won't sell, right? So I think that a lot of things that people teach you in courses for private label, they are things that you will actually acquire over time, and I think you will be better at it, because basically if you do arbitrage, you really get into the nitty-gritty, right? You look at a product at a retailer, then you go to an Amazon listing and see, analyze that listing, see, okay, is it is it plausible that this item will sell for this price, right? That's basically what you try to establish every time you buy a product. And at some point you just learn how to read them, right? So now the final truth is, and again, this may be a bit confrontation for some, but the final truth is that even though 1 million sellers join each year, I don't think many of these people should actually join. And this is not some elitist statement either. Again, it requires, right? Because even if you just start with arbitrage and you don't really look at private label yet, just going from $500 to 100,000, right? If you look on our website, you will find, like, even if everything goes right, it will take you 3 years to get there. That means you have to do the work for 3 years consistently. And I honestly think, okay, like, everyone starts with this, and the first 1 month, 2 months, everyone's happy, right? Everyone say, oh, I can do this. But then, they see, oh, I've bought into a lead list or a software program, whatever, and you buy products, and then after 2 months, you're going to calculate the numbers. Yeah, didn't give me the result I wanted. I expected to make that $500 into 1,000 by now. I mean, everyone can stick to it if it goes everything goes well, right? I mean, but what you have to realize, and I'm trying to teach people before they buy my course or even before they get started, is that honestly, you have to realize that you have to go through a lot of misery. Again, you have to put more money in than you will get out in the beginning, and it might even take you up to a year or two before you actually see some returns coming, right? And most people jump into this thing thinking, they can double their money by the end of the month or year or whatever period they had in mind. And I think most come back from that. And then again, I'd rather tell you now than that before you put your money in, and that you come back at me, oh, it's not easy, it's not this, it's not that. And I'm telling you right here, right now, I don't think it's for most people. Now, what I can tell you, and again, I really want to emphasize this point, doing arbitrage, even something like arbitrage, but also private label research, right? Just researching a product or maintaining a product. It's like having a second job next to a job. And this job doesn't give you any money, it just costs you money. And that may be, if you're lucky, in a couple of months and you're out of it. But it also can take you 1 or 2 years before you get out of it, right? So now if you manage, to struggle through that, then you can have a good life. You can have a comfortable life. You can hire some VAs, and basically you can make good money. You can, you can even fire your boss or whatever they call it, quit your job. But you have to realize that you have to go through some hardships in order to get there, right? So, what else can I tell you? I mean, honestly, and this is what I basically try and teach people that buy our course, and even people that buy our leads list. I tend not to oversell it, right? If you look at my website, I do believe that you don't see any hyped up messaging. And that's not because I don't want to sell it. It's because I want people that buy my course, that they are grounded in reality, right? So I want people that understand that if they invest $500 in an inventory, that maybe if they're lucky, it will turn into $600 6 months or 3 months from now. And if people accept that notion, that then if they make 700 or 800, to them it's a big success. However, for most people starting on Amazon, again, I have a chat on my website, and a lot of people that ask questions, they ask these questions under the assumption that they will be that this $500 investment they have, they can make is somehow will give them a whatever $200,000, right? And if you then keep in mind that if that's your target, if that's your goal, to reach within say 6 months, from 500 to 100,000 in 6 months, right? I'm not saying it's impossible because stranger things has happened, but what I'm trying to say is, like, if you manage to make that 500 in, let's say, 6 months, from 500 to 1,500, that's like tripling your investment in 6 months. Any reasonable person would be happy about that. However, if you have $200,000 in mind, or 100,000, or whatever you have in mind, then that tripling is nothing. It's always a disappointment. And again, this is not about a short, quick rush and making money. It's about a long, drawn out, well, call it a marathon, call it whatever you want, but it's something that you have to be able to maintain, and you can only maintain it if you keep that expectation at a reasonable level, right? And I personally believe that people who succeed in the long run, they have lowered expectations, so every time they reach a success or a high point, it's like a triple whammy. It's like, oh wow, I expected 1,500, now I have 2,000. And I truly believe that, over a longer period of time, that's the right mindset. Anyway, I do hope this helped. And also, don't forget to have a look at the links in the description down below. And please hit that like and subscribe button, as it will help us out tremendously in growing our channel. See you in the next video.